This is Live by Heart Today, show 45, Liberating Loneliness. With your host, Dawn Spiegelberg and Wendy R. Wolf. Our show begins now. Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
And wearehistorically.com, conscious human apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
Hello, welcome to the Live by Heart Today show 45. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how our body works, a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation. My name is Dawn Spiegelberg. I'm a posture therapist and coherence coach. We're focusing on living agreements, and today's theme, liberating loneliness. With me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, professional transformation facilitator. Hi, Wendy.
Hey, Dawn. I am extra excited about today's topic. I believe that loneliness is a huge issue in our society. It's a huge issue for adults. It's a huge issue for children. And I have this thing where I have a theory that in our long-term relationships, loneliness is rampant. And in some ways, it's harder than when one is single. And each time I talk to somebody in a long-term relationship about this in depth, they're like, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm so glad we're talking about it.
So let me just get clear. You said that people are lonely in their long-term relationship. So they're not alone, yet they're still lonely. And they're lonelier than people who are single.
Well, the people who are single have a lot of stuff they can do, and also there's hope. There's the hope that the little white horse is going to come, and then this loneliness will be taken away. And it pretty much is for the infatuation stage, and then it's my belief, my theory is that it just keeps growing. And there's just a tremendous amount of loneliness in long-term relationships. There's the intimacy goes down, the experience of connection goes down, and people go back into their silos a lot. And there's no hope because you're in this long-term relationship. And if you're monogamous, it's over.
Mm-hmm. You just made me think about something that I hadn't really thought about before. And the picture that you painted is true in societies like ours, where refined sugar is a big part of the regular diet. So refined sugars suppress things like hormone production. And we have specific hormones that we produce that help us feel connected and feel together. And so if even in our diet we're not producing these hormones, I see now very clearly how we can be in a long-term relationship and be completely lonely and feel isolated.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of components to it. And also we're siloed in our nuclear family units as well. And that's a relatively new thing for humans. For millennia, we lived in tribes. And then for so long, thousands of years, we lived in, I don't know how long, thousands of years, we lived in these great big family groups. And 100 years ago or something? Or so we decided to silo.
Yeah, and I'd like to point something out about that. and that is each person had a contribution. You know, like Ed really knew how to screw in a nut or put a nail in straight. And for a big nail project, we needed Ed to do that, right? And then so and so knew how to make a hammer, and my hammer handle just broke. So people had a specific contribution, and
in community.
Yeah, I'll say they were revered for that contribution, right? Like other people would try, but it was, that person who was really good at it. So let's call him in or her in. And in, like you said, in a nuclear family, there isn't that. And also people don't know what their contributions are often.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it happens less. I think there's just more separate. There's a lot of, and there's loneliness in the children that might not have been there because the grandparents were there, because the cousins were next door, because like whatever. And now I'm hearing about it, and I experienced it when I was young. Like there's true loneliness because the parents are busy.
That's true in my family.
So
without being in school, my kids are really suffering.
The kids are really suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the one time, this infatuation thing, and Valentine's Day, that's part of what, I love Valentine's Day, whatever, but I'm concerned because it lights up how it should be and how the romance should be. And like, if I don't have a partner, and if I do have a partner, but my needs are not met, and like, why does everybody else get it and I don't? And that's why I'm so glad we're talking about it. Everybody else is not getting it. Some of us are.
Yes.
But a lot of us aren't. And I believe that we can be. So like, this is meant to be hopeful, but it's also meant to be validating of like, there is loneliness. And I didn't believe it. I remember a friend of mine telling me like a year before I got together with Michael. And I had wonderful, I was so knit into community, and I had a couple really great partners before Michael. It's not like I was alone, but she told me, she's like, she was in a long-term relationship that blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, nobody knows what it's like to be in a long-term relationship and how lonely it can be. None of you guys know. And I was just like, I don't know what she's talking about. That makes no sense.
Right.
It's like, I know her partner. He's a nice guy, right? But like, nobody really knows what's going on also in our long-term relationships. Like it can look one way and be a completely opposite way. That guy can be so full of vim and vigor and excitement in the world, and then come home and just want to read the paper and not want to talk to you or whatever. There's just a lot of we don't really know what's going on. And in the old days, there were more people watching.
Yes.
In the old days, like you couldn't just do stuff and no one knew it. And
in the old days, there was more body movement. And now we so often just sit at a computer like you and I are doing right this minute. So not having proprioceptive input to the brain allows us to stay in beta brainwaves, which is sort of the analyzing, judging, the difficult.
Which is not a connecting place.
No.
Yeah. So I really hope people interface with us about this one, because I know what I'm saying is not what we usually hear.
Yeah.
And then another part of it is our society for my whole life, and certainly back from the 50s, I listened to the music, like almost all the music's about like, at least in the 50s, there were some other fun things going on, but a lot was about love. Getting it, the wonderful beginning of it, and then the end of it, and how horrific it is, right? Nothing about the middle, by the way. Almost nothing. The only song that I can relate to, let me see if it comes to me, in a long-term relationship is, you asked me if I love you and I took on my reply. I'd rather hurt you honestly than to something about a lie. Yeah. That song, I get it. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty is too much. That song. I'm like, the rest of them are in these other silos, but the long-term relationships don't get songs because that's like you kiss and the sun sets. And everybody goes to seashore.
Yes, yeah. Or the, love on the boardwalk or something. And then, and then it was over. It was just over the summer.
Right, and it's just over. Oh, right. The Grease song. Yeah, so, but the actual, like, walking it out is a whole different game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, listen to the last show. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is different. And there's some really important things to manage in it, I think, so that we can ourselves and as a unit and as families and communities and etc. like really, really be full of love and joy and hope and beauty and all that.
Yes. And one thing we've been talking about in our other shows is filling ourselves first, and that the people around us get our leftover, right? They get from what pours out because we're already full.
Yeah.
And if you established a relationship with someone, but it was based in something that wasn't self-validating, right? If it's two people who don't feel validated or don't feel value, at the beginning in that crush stage, you are living a different chemistry.
Yes.
And then when that chemistry changes, then now we do have two very lonely people because they don't have the ability to give to the other person. And that's not the source of self-love because it comes from self. That's not the source of value and safety. So now we have two strangers living in the same place.
Yes. Yeah, that used to have more intimacy and now have less, and that's painful and to begin with.
Yes.
And then there's this picture that it should be more intimacy, but it's not, and there's more pain. It just goes on and on with the owie. So I'd like to talk, like, this is right where my most favorite part of my work is, honestly, and it's been most popular, and I call it being the love you want. And it comes off of, it comes off of the work, the book Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. And they recently, him and his wife recently redid their webpage to the new kind where they give away a lot of stuff. So I highly recommend looking that up because they really have some great distinctions and practices for how to keep getting more intimate, how to keep investing in the relationship and each other, and to help each other heal in psychological, emotional ways in the relationship. Their theory is that we're attracted to people who remind us of our early caregivers, particularly the difficult ones.
Oh, great.
And this time we're going to make it right.
Oh, yeah. We're repeating the pattern.
We're repeating the pattern to try to fix it. The usual.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know.
Good to know. And anyway, I think the work is awesome. And I read the book in the 80s, and it's got new and improved kinds. But so my work is called Being the Love You Want. And sure, that's all awesome. But it's about filling up. Can we fill up with the very thing that we're hungry for out there, that we want from them?
So I want to tell you.
And sometimes they'll give it to us, and sometimes when it's really vexing. Can we be it here? Can we be filled with it, overflowing with it, become it here? And then that changes our world because we are it, and then therefore we attract it. but we already have it, so it's good. But then we tracked it, so it's better. And then we can play our own game and just love, regardless of what they do. So I go around very often. I go around calling Michael, "You're the object of my affection," and I just go around loving him, whether he seems to love me or not, whatever he's doing. Just like, "You're the object of my affection. Let me come give you a pet," And he's just like, "I'm an object." We have this shtick. Very funny, but it's true. It's just like I'm choosing to love him and care for him and show him I love him and do all those things regardless of what he does. And that's playing my own game, and I can do that because I'm being it. So anyway, it's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. It reminds me of when I was first married. I would get home from work, and you know how when you come home, even if you just went to get the mail and came back, the dog acts like you've been gone all day, right? Every time. And I was like that. I was like the dog in the family. I'd come home and I'd be so happy to see him, right? And he seemed so indifferent. And I thought, what's going on here? What am I missing? And so he wasn't greeting me at the door, and he wasn't saying, "Hi, how was your day?" And right, like that wasn't happening. And that's what I wanted. So for probably a good week, I was really confused and thinking this wasn't going to work. And I made a huge mistake. And I was trying to figure out if I should fly home to my mother, crazy stuff going on in my mind. And then I realized, oh, this is what I want. And this is how I can be. And until I hear something different, until the words come out of his mouth, I'm gone or you're gone, right? I'm going to be the way I want. And then everything was just so much better.
Right? You can be a dog.
Yes. It's like it fixed it. It wasn't just a rubber Band-Aid over it, right? It really healed it. And I realized, oh, I can be what I want.
Yeah.
And then he started warming up.
Yep.
And what I didn't realize was that he didn't have that behavior modeled when he was growing up. So he didn't know that that was even a possibility.
Yes. Yes.
True of so many things.
Yes. So how I got here, I'd love to share how I got to this distinction,
please.
if it's okay. So long ago, I don't know, a dozen years or something, I went to a reading at a woman's house, like not far from where you live, and she had a child, and she had a husband. They were married monogamously. She wanted to stay with him, but meanwhile, drum roll please, of course, drum roll please, there was this guy. There was this guy at her dance community who she was like crazy about. And in his it was just like she was nuts. And so she called me. And you know how it happens, nuts. And so I look at it, I'm just like, all right, well, whatever, this is classic. Let's look at it. And I'm seeing it. It was hilarious because the picture was that she would show up to the dance, and it wasn't the guy. Like I saw the guy, but then it was like a cartoon, how the person looks like something else, like the guys who like hamburgers and hot dogs chasing each other around.
Right.
He looked like a gumball machine.
That's funny.
Yeah. And she would go and she'd get these gumballs. Oh, I get attention. I get love. I feel, and it was just like, she's just basically using him. I mean, she cares about him, blah, blah, blah. But she's just like, this is where I go and I matter. This is where I go and that I feel pretty, or whatever it is.
Right.
And that she, of course, could get these gumballs herself. You don't need to go to a gumball machine for gumballs when you're a grown up.
Yeah.
Right? And so I showed her how to get them here and not there.
Yes.
And then she had the choice. And then she started to have the choice of, oh, I don't have to blow up my marriage. I don't have to get a divorce. I don't have to cheat. I don't have to do all these things I don't want to do to get what I want, that I need. I can just get the gumballs here. And, it was like huge. And I obviously that this is going on all the time everywhere, not just for her. It's not everywhere all the time, but everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, whoa. And then on top of that, Jesus, I was talking to him somewhat more recently, like 10 years ago. And I was like, how did you do this? How did you go around loving people when they were such jerks? How did you go around, like, they're trying to kill you? They did kill you. You're still loving them. How did you do that? Come on, give it up.
What's the secret?
What's the secret? And he's like, I am love. I don't need it from them.
Whoa.
I don't need it from them. So of course I could play my own game. If they can do this or that, they can love me or hate me. They can buy it or kill me. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go on loving them. I was just like, this is the same. It just brought the work to the whole different level. That being it really, it's not just about getting what we need or overflowing with it or having a good relationship, but it really shifts our world.
It shifts our world in so many ways. And we'll talk about more ways it shifts our world when we come back from our break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I instruct an online video course that teaches anyone how to play jazz piano like a pro with my proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Learn the quickest way to start memorizing and playing scales today. Download my free Quick Start Guide.
Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show. We're talking about relationship and loneliness and being the change, being the love, being what it is that you want and that you need. And we're going to continue our conversation about that in particular because it's powerful.
Yes. And in this way, like we've been talking today, then we can live our agreements. Because these impulses that we're talking about, the impulse to experience oneness, the impulse to be validated and seen and accepted, and the impulse to belong, and the impulse to share intimacy, these things are powerful.
Yes.
Powerful. And especially when you tie them together with sex. Very, 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 very powerful. So can we get all those needs met in the structures of agreement that we choose? And that means I take off all that responsibility, putting it on the other person, and take it here. You're not responsible for my sexuality. You're not responsible for my emotions. You're not responsible for me experiencing love, right? Like, just keep taking, there's plenty of eggs to take back out of their basket that I put there.
Security. Value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. On and on and on. And we were joking before the thing, the whole ball and chain thing. It's just like, oh, I can't do it because my partner, it's like, well, what's really in the way? You can have a conversation. What do you really need? It helps to, oh, you want to go bowling on Thursday night? Oh, great. Good. Well, we'll get a babysitter, whatever. We don't have to get stopped in places that we think we do. And the more we fill up here, the more we can ask because we're okay.
And the more generous we can be.
And the more generous we can be because we don't care.
Yeah.
We're filled. We don't need it. And I don't have to control, which is, something that tends to happen in relationships when I go into control.
It really does. It really does. And I've noticed when I have self-control, because I'm filled up, because I'm being the change.
Yes.
That control of me and control of my feelings and my beliefs and my perceptions, it provides space and it offers a learning. It because I am being it, now they can be it too.
Yeah.
And in that place is generosity.
Yes.
I love when my husband's friends contact him and I'll say, yes, or he'll say, oh, I was thinking of going, and I always just say, yes, go. Yes, go. And if they haven't planned something for a little while, I text them and say, what are you guys doing? Get this man out of the house.
Yes.
He's got to go.
Yes. Boy time is so important, I think. I really do. Time alone is important. And for boys, men to get together, and women, girls to get together. So healing. Yeah. And I think also that's something in the old days that happened a lot more. And now there's this nuclear family thing. But men getting together and doing stuff is just it's so healing.
It is.
Yeah.
And women the same.
Women the same. It really
and
is.
Kids.
And girls, yeah.
Yeah, kids getting with kids.
Yeah, and kids with kids. So, I mean, I worked at resident camp for 6 summers. It's just like, I have this whole cheaper by the dozen picture. Like I was never going to have kids, but if I did, I would have a lot of them, or a lot of them in community with a lot of other kids, It's like that whole take the pack out camping, take the pack to the beach, and they all just handle each other. And it's a wonderful picture.
It is because not only is it what we're describing, where we're filling up ourselves, but then we're also contributing to others, and that's the way it can work. That's the way it works best.
Yeah.
And that's living by heart.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have some closing comments about loneliness? I was sort of waiting to hear you share a solution to loneliness, and then you came right around full circle and did. Do you have other suggestions aside from?
Besides the energy, besides the spiritual filling up, there's a million things we can do to get our needs met, and to love ourselves, and to care for ourselves, and to heal ourselves, that change our world, because we're more healed, and we're more whole, and we're here, and they get permission to do it too. I mean, it's just, it's not selfish. The most important thing a mother can do is make sure that we're filled up.
Yes. Because
then we can overflow, and not just mothers, because I don't have my own kids, but like with others, we can just overflow then. And if I'm empty, I got nothing.
Contributing to others and filling others from an overflow is so healthy for them. It's healthy for us, and it's healthy for them, because then they can just absorb and drink and be filled too. And the lesson they're learning is that they're getting this wonderful, amazing sustenance, whether it's love or caring or self-value, because someone is being it.
Yes. Yes. It's so important for them to model it. And it's so important for them to receive it without all the stickiness of, if I'm giving out of need.
Yes. I don't have enough. I can only give you this much. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other big story, tell me, did I talk in the show about going to the wilderness once a week for like 2/3 of a year?
I don't recall that one.
It's really important. How much time do I have?
You've got 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. I was in a part of my relationship where I was just like, my needs are not met. My needs are not met. I need someone else to help me with this. And that wasn't working out. I need somebody else to help me with this. So I got a leading to go off to the wilderness once a week. And I went into Tuesday, I went into early in work, and it was my short day. So I could be to the wilderness way out, like on Mountain Loop Highway, by like noon, and I'd stay till dark. So I was out there like 8 hours or something, 8, 9 hours a week from like early spring to late fall.
Mm.
And because I needed these things, I'm like, all right, I got this leading. Okay, this is going to be great, right? But I had to overcome, because I was trained by the Girl Scouts. You don't go to the wilderness by yourself. There's a
Right.
lot to overcome. So I overcame, and I would sit by the water. In the summer, I'd go in the water, and I'd journal, and I'd read, and I'd do all the spiritual stuff that I do, meditation and stuff. And I'd walk on the forest roads. You know, it was lovely, but nothing special.
Mm.
There was like, I was just like, every week I'd be just like waiting for like the bang, you know, and there was no bang. It was just like, it was great. It was just fine. It was great. And then by the end of the summer, I remember the end of August, one day I'm like shaking my fist at the heavens. I'm like, you led me out here. And like, where's the goods? Where's the, like, you know, the glory of God coming down, you know? And I was experiencing spiritual stuff. Normal, though. It was all normal. I have a pretty high level of experiencing. But like, I expected an extraordinary thing. Nothing was happening. And then I made it through the rest of the fall. And then I had to stop because I was having car trouble. And I was just like, well, that was fascinating. It was lovely. But it wasn't like
earth-shattering.
It was not earth-shattering. And then I realized, it took me like a while, I realized, oh my goodness, like I'm not yearning for anything else. I'm filled. It was like quiet, that's quiet thing. It's just quietly filled, quietly fine. Nature is so healing and delicious. And then being with heaven and earth is so delicious. And the most incredible thing is I realized I learned to keep my own counsel. I didn't have to have all those intimates out there telling all my stuff. I didn't have to have a new lover. I was fine. Without any bang. But oh my gosh, it has served me so well ever since, because like I'm free. I don't have to have a certain kind of friends or lovers or relationship or anything. And it was like just doing it. Isn't that amazing?
It really is. And you were forest bathing and lake bathing and all the things that they're now studying as being healthy and beneficial. And you were doing it. And I love that you said there wasn't anything special happening, except there was.
Yeah. And so that's an example of like, there's so much available for us that we're not necessarily taking advantage of. And I'm a big fan of like, if somebody's skin hungry, swimming, hot tubs, right? It's so stimulating, putting on moisturizer. There's a lot of women who are really skin hungry. And there's stuff we can do about it. And also it really helped me overcome the inculcated fear and shouldn't about going out into the world just myself. And in subsequent summers, I would just go out there for days at a time out in nowhere and be so blessed because I could, because I'd acclimated to doing it by just doing it like one day a week.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I hope some of that is helpful because it's very good. Yeah.
Very, very helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you to everyone who's watching today. We would love to hear from you. If our conversation spoke to you, please tell us what's on your heart by leaving us a comment below. For more information about how you can live by heart, please go to our website, livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow this page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. We're here every Thursday at 4:44 Pacific time. From our heart to yours, we're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart Today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Shop online at wearehistorically.com. Conscious Human Apparel.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Have a happy